Patrick.
Patrick, please.
Nice meeting you.
Neha. Nice to meet you.
Of course.
Hey.
It's my wife's name.
And Victoria. Pretty. You don't need it later. Victoria?
Olivia and Charlotte. Close. Victoria was on the list. Victoria was on the list. So was Vivian. Those are two other names.
Vivian.
Yeah. So we had a few names, and we both came up with a list of names, and the first names that matched were the names that we're going to choose. So,
What was the first name?
Olivia and Charlotte, my two daughters.
Okay.
Unfortunately, a girl there, means I don't get to sleep.
Are they teenagers?
Not yet. 10 and 3.
Uh-oh. They're gonna have a
That's
long
teenagers
ride- you're gonna have a
now.
long ride there.
Well, the three-nager is probably the worst.
The
The
three-nager.
Yeah, my daughter just turned 3, so I.
Yeah,
cannot
you know the
decide.
pain, right?
Struggles.
No more terrible twos?
It's not terrible. 2 was easy.
2
compared to
was
3.
easy, yes. Now they want to do
3.
everything on their own.
Oh, yeah?
Well, not just that, it's just the attitude. I'm gonna show you a picture of our family Christmas portrait that we use for our Christmas card every year. Look at ours, and look at my 3-year-old.
I
think that is-
Demon?
The eye roll, she was
Oh, the
not
eye
having
roll.
it that
Oh,
day.
that's
She went,
classic.
She was not,
That was on the
she was
holiday
not
picture?
having,
I've got my granddaughters.
yeah, she was not having it that
Picture we
day.
take of her.
No, she was giving you the
The
Grinch.
evil eye.
That was the Grinch look.
That was
For
after,
Christmas.
after my wife picked out all the outfits, made sure they all match, and arranged for the photographer, and sure enough, she was not having it. Not one bit. So, Christmas cards gonna look very interesting this year.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
A simple question.
You might get a simple answer.
Why did everything got delayed, everything get delayed this time around? Sending out the papers and all the tax information.
Well, I'm sorry?
Why did
it get delayed? Because the tax collector sucks.
No. Seriously, man.
No, I'm serious.
But he's been the same person for the past few years.
He's been this, we've had the same tax collector for the past 9 years.
What's his name?
Hank Levy.
Yeah, okay, I paid that
Yes.
already.
He's the same company, and for whatever reason,
I see you again.
they have mailed everything out late for the last 3 years.
I think the most of
Last year, when they changed addresses.
That was even worse. That was a conversation I had that conversation with them, I said, Hank, you're confused the heck out of everyone. And sure enough, he did. And it was wrong too.
Yeah.
It was wrong, on top of giving them multiple addresses, it was the wrong address.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
yes.
Hey,
I don't know what he's thinking.
But
Yeah.
luckily, you had that automated message recording this, saying that, it's going to be late, hold on, you'll get it and all that. Because I called up and said,
They don't
message
pick up the
said,
phone.
yeah.
You call them, they don't pick up the phone.
Yeah, you didn't pick it up with the.
I like to tell everyone, that's their office, not us. Most people don't confuse what I do with what he does. What I do is separate than what he does. So, yeah, he and I get into it sometimes. It's fun. He's 76 years old, and home, go ahead and retire too.
are you guys level?
What's that? We're counterparts.
Yeah.
So we're both separately elected. You all chose us.
We chose him? I
You
don't-
chose him.
I don't remember that.
You elected him 3 times now.
When's the next election?
28.
I mean, how long, what is your guys' term?
Normally it's 4 years, except this one time, we had a 2-year exception. So it went 6 years this last time.
Is it COVID?
No, the state decided to change the law. So but normally our terms are 4 years. But the state changed that one time 6-year change.
So you guys are both elected in the same year?
We're both elected the same year.
Okay, so I need to make sure when I see the name, was it? Nope. Not you, not you.
Well, please choose no, because I don't want this job anymore. I'm the only idiot who wants the job.
Oh,
I ran unopposed last time. First time I had 3 opponents, last time I had 0 opponents. I tell everyone, no one else is dumb enough to want the job.
Stephanie will run.
Go for it. How are you doing? I'm Phong. Pat? Phong. Pat, pleasure. Oh, it's all right. The idiot hasn't even, the speaker hasn't even showed up yet.
That's funny. Tom, do you know when is he coming?
What's that?
Can you call him?
Can I call him?
Yes, ask him to come.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's waiting for his coffee.
I should
Or his
wait-
water.
Wait for my water.
He's waiting for his water. Someone get his water.
Hey, we had an appointment at 10:30.
Got places to go.
All you live in Fremont?
Newark.
Newark? Everyone else? Dublin, that's a long
I want one for my kids in the morning.
Mallory, you know, Mallory could be pretty, Stevenson could be pretty, difficult to get through. I grew up in Union City. New York? Union City, Union City, grew up in Union City.
UC.
Alameda, city of Alameda. Yeah, I grew up in Union City. When I came back from law school, I lived in Fremont, and my law office was in Newark. So I practiced law in Newark. Lived in Fremont for 10 years before I got married. Thank you so much. Is that wine? Oh, I'm disappointed. It's already 5 o'clock somewhere.
Why do we need this
Over by
one?
the mall?
To wake my
Oh,
son up
like
in the
that
morning.
2-story.
It's the one right by, single story.
Really, really good.
What's this?
But,
It's from
yeah, I
Taiwan.
practiced there for 11 years.
Did
Before I
you do
became the
it for
assistant.
me?
Use that, it'll see you through.
I have my own. So I worked at a law firm first. I worked at a real estate law firm first. And then I got tired of having a boss.
You
Now,
always have a
now,
boss.
now I have 1.7 million bosses.
You have 3 at your house.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was guaranteed from day one.
You never had the boss.
I've never been the boss. I've never been the boss in my life.
You're the boss.
Yeah.
I've been busy since I've been here.
So you
Heck yeah. I tell all my friends, like, you're not married? Don't get married. Don't get married. You don't want to get married. And that person never, my friends told me that too. I didn't listen. Thank you, I'm gonna need that. My friends all warned me, like, you don't want to do it, trust us. We're married now. Look, we don't go camping with you, we don't go drinking with you, we don't go watch Monday Night Football with you. You're single, you can go watch Monday Night Football whatever you want. I said, oh, come on, it can't be that bad. Sure enough. Hello, how are you doing?
Hi, me too, nice picture.
Yeah, you want me to go?
I can.
We're ready? All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Phong, I'm your county assessor. I was just telling you a little bit about myself and my history with the area. I actually was born in Vietnam. I came here as a refugee, as a little boy. I tell everyone I'm the most lucky man in the world. Imagine, I come from 5 generations of fishermen. My father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, his father before him, and I'm the first generation not to do it for a living, which is great because I probably starve. I'm also the first to get seasick too. My family fled Vietnam after the war. We were very fortunate. We were rescued at sea by the USS White Plains, which is a Navy supply ship. Back then, U.S. policy was to rescue everyone who fled Southeast Asia and give them refugee status and allow them to come to America. So I was allowed to come here as a refugee. If this happened today, I would not be allowed to come here, just so you kind of get a sense of what American policy was like today. My father had never gone more than 30 miles from where he was born, same with my mother, and so when he was asked, where do you want to go? Because when you're a refugee, you're allowed to come to America. But you had to make your own way here. Catholic Charities, although we were not Catholic, was generous enough to loan my parents the money to buy airline tickets to come here. It was my parents, my sister, and I. I was 3 years old, my sister was a year old, and my parents were in their 20s. My father, fortunately, had an uncle who fled the year before, and his uncle made it to Union City, California. So when my father was asked, where do you want to go? He said, Union City, California. So I grew up in Union City, right down the street. I graduated from James Logan High School in 1995. My father, the first job he could get was to pick lettuce along Union City Boulevard, Ardenwood Boulevard, Newark Boulevard. If you were here back then, it was all farmland. And he picked lettuce and broccoli, and my mother worked in a garment factory in Hayward, back when we still had garment factories here in the Bay Area. We had a social worker, and Alameda County, through a social worker, told my parents about a program where they can go to community college for free. Imagine that, we had free community college in 1980. Right, we don't even have that today. Both my parents went to Chabot Community College in Hayward. They got their degrees. My father got a degree in machining. My mother got a degree in assembly work when we put together computer chips. We used to have that industry here too. My father became a machinist. My mother got her degree. They got better paying jobs. Bought a house for the first time in 1985 on the farm that my father used to pick lettuce at. My parents eventually started their own businesses. My father, a machine shop, and my mother, a furniture store, retail furniture store, right off Stevenson Boulevard, right here on Albury Street. My father's machine shop was actually in Hayward on West Industrial Parkway, and he eventually moved it to Union City. So I grew up in my parents' businesses. I was blessed. I went to college and law school. Through the success of my parents' businesses, they were able to afford to send me to school. They sent my sister to college and to medical school. They sent my brother to college. My parents do not talk about their lawyer son or their doctor daughter. They talk about their successful college dropout third son, who started his own business, who makes more money than my sister and I combined, who takes them on free trips anywhere they want to go in the world. My brother's business is in Newark, California, right across the street from the mall. He sells collectible shoes. Shoes. It's a great business. He sells them at $1,000 a pop with a 50% profit margin. He has a subscription model. You can be first in line to buy his shoes. It's like Costco, right? Membership? Membership is $20 a month. He has 2,000 people paying him $20 a month just to buy his shoes. That's $40,000 a month. That's almost $500,000 a year, just free money, just to buy his shoes.
What's the average age of those subscribers?
25 to 35 young men. It's all young men. They're not teenagers. They're men with jobs, like good paying jobs. The average income is like $200,000 a year for his customers. So they pay. I told you I went to law school, went to work at a real estate law firm. My father came to me and said, why are you busting your butt to make someone else rich? I was representing some of the biggest property owners in California. I had billion-dollar clients. I was doing billion-dollar deals. I was also a realtor on top of being a lawyer. So I was a realtor for 15 years. I was a member of AES for 15 years. Right. So I listened to my father and I said, okay. He said, come back to the family business. You grew up in this business. Right? I did grow up in the business. And if you want it, I'll give it to you. Because I don't want to sell it. I want to give it to my children. I went back to the family business, and being a numbers guy, I looked at the finances, and I realized he was being overtaxed by the assessor by about $1 million a year. My father's an immigrant. English isn't his first language. When I was 12 years old, I reviewed the first leases for my family at 12 years old. At 19 years old, I was negotiating all the purchases for their real estate. This is while I was in school. So I called my best friend from law school. He specialized in state and local tax. His job was to sue the government, specifically the assessor. So I said, hey, Brad, what do I do? He said, this is what you do, Phong. So I started suing the assessor. I would complain about the assessor's office. And I remember in one of those hearings, I had 5 members of the assessor's team. It was me. I said, one day I'm going to be your boss. I'm going to show you guys how to do this right. Just out of anger, I said that. I didn't mean it. I just said it out of anger. And then on March 15th, 2018, I get a phone call from someone in the assessor's office. It was 3 p.m. She said, remember me? You said you would be our boss. The assessor has said he's retiring, and today is the last day to file to run for assessor. It was 3 p.m. Filing deadline is 5 p.m. I'm in Newark. You file in Oakland. You know how long it takes to drive to Oakland at 3 p.m.? So I didn't know what to do. I had 2 hours to figure this out. So I did what all smart men do when you don't have an answer to something. I called my wife. We're just talking about my wife a second ago. We're saying how my wife is my boss. My wife at that time in 2018 was a divorce lawyer, specializing in high net worth divorces. Today, my wife is a judge in Alameda County doing divorces. So if you get divorced in Alameda County, you have a 1 in 8 chance you will be in front of my wife. You do not want to be in front of my wife. I do not want to be in front of my wife. So she just said, drive to Oakland, get your name on the ballot, and we'll figure it out later. I didn't tell her that it's a 60% pay cut for me to be the assessor versus my salary as a private attorney. But I got my name on the ballot. I had 3 opponents. I wrote a $27,000 personal check. It costs you money to be on the ballot. You have to collect signatures to be on the ballot. I had an hour because I got there at 4 p.m. Right? I left Newark at 3, got there at 4. I had called my friends as I was driving, and 10 of my friends showed up. They were running around downtown Oakland collecting signatures for me while I filled out my ballot. 4:45, I became an official candidate for the first time for public office. And unfortunately, I won that election. So I became the assessor. Right. Be careful what you ask for. No. I came the assessor because I really was angry at government. I didn't think that it was fair that government taxed you inappropriately. My belief is if values have dropped, the government duty is to make sure you pay your fair share and nothing more. You shouldn't have to pay more only to ask for your money back. So since I've been assessor, we have proactively reduced tens of thousands of property taxes without you even having to ask us to. We just did it because it's the right thing to do. And we continue to do it now as the market has shifted. All right. Which means there's a lot more work for us. So be patient with us, please. All right, so that's my personal story and how I got here today. Actually, I got here today because Lucy called, and I do whatever Lucy says. Lucy's been my escrow officer before for most of my deals, so that's how I met Lucy in the first place. I still do a lot of real estate deals, not as a broker, but as a buyer. Like I own shopping centers. That's actually how I get paid and live my life, because this government, it's not a good career choice. I'm just kidding. I appreciate the salary. It's taxpayer money, so I appreciate it greatly. Thank you very much for paying my salary. I could use a raise. The county makes me give a disclaimer. I said I was a lawyer. Although I'm a lawyer, I'm not your lawyer. So this is not legal advice. This is just general information. What does the assessor do? Is my job to figure out the value of everything in this county for tax purposes, which includes lands and buildings, but if you own a business, it includes the tables, chairs, computers, filing cabinets, and everything here. We assess everything. Business property, real estate, buildings, and land. All right? There are 3 of us involved in your property taxes. We're all elected officials. You chose us to have our jobs. Here's my analogy of what we're like. Imagine this is like the mafia, right? I'm the boss of the family. I say how much, right? You get your assessment notice from me every July. It says, here's your assessed value, what we're gonna tax you on. Melissa is the accountant. Every good crime organization needs a good accountant, right? Gotta make sure everything's done properly. She decides your tax rate. She applies a tax rate for your specific property. The tax rate is different depending on where you're at in Alameda County. Why is it different across the county?
Elected, voter debt.
Correct.
Voter.
You, the voters, choose and vote on your tax rate. Think about the last time you voted on a school bond measure, on a parcel tax, right? Every city has different parcel taxes. Every city has different special assessment taxes. Down here, we have Alameda County water. Up to where I'm at now, I live in Alameda now, I have East Bay mud for my water and my sewer. You guys have Union Sanitary District down here for sewer, right? So you vote on those as a citizen. You decide how much you pay.
It includes Washington Hospital.
Washington Hospital.
And there was an issue.
There was one just passed. You, the voters in Fremont and Union City, Newark, and parts of Hayward, just voted to increase your property taxes based on the size of your house. I'm not sure if you realize that. It's 5 cents for every square foot of house that you voted on. It passed. So next year, you're gonna get a property tax increase based on that. So don't call me and complain about it, all right? You're gonna vote on another parcel tax for public transportation next year. You have to decide, do you wanna support and fund BART and AC Transit and other municipal government transportation agencies? You, the voters, get to choose that. And then Hank Levy does exactly what his title is. He is the collector of taxes. If you don't pay your property taxes, he breaks your knees. Just like a good organized crime syndicate. Is that correct? We call it a crime syndicate? Yeah. As you can see, I'm not very versed in organized crime terminology. Where does your money go? 42% goes to the school district. 18% stays with the city, about 15% goes to the county. Special districts, like I said, are East Bay Mud, Alameda County Water, those are special districts. And the last part is redevelopment, which is something that the state has ended. So that eventually will get redistributed. But those redevelopment agencies, once they're created, lasted 30 to 50 years. So they're not completely gone yet. Oh, biggest house in Fremont, because we're in Fremont now. 16,000 square feet. Highest assessed, remember, I'm not talking about highest value, this is not value, this is assessment, right? Because the highest value could be a house that was bought 20 years ago. Their assessment will be lower, but highest assessed house, 13 million in Fremont. I think we have a picture of the house right here. Whose house is that? I'm pretty sure I know whose house this is. I'm pretty sure it was, if they don't live there anymore, the Dom family who, Bernard Dom was the godfather of the Pentium processor. He has a great personal story as well. He came here from India with like $30 in his pocket, went to the University of Cincinnati, became an engineer, got a job at Intel, basically developed the Pentium chip, and is now super wealthy. Highest assessed business. It's supposed to be a guessing game, actually. I'm sure you guys saw that already. I have a story with Elon here. Tesla is more than 1% of all property taxes in Alameda County. Just that one company. Tesla wants a reduction. Of course they do, right? I'm going to tell you a little funny story. I told you that when I left my law firm, I realized my father's company was being overassessed, and I called my best friend from law school. After I got elected, about a year afterwards, he gives me a call. He says, "Hey, Phong, Tesla just called me. They want me to represent them against you. If this is going to affect our friendship, I won't take them on as a client, but I'll tell you, I'm going to bill them $1,700 an hour for my time. I'm going through a divorce, so I could use the money." So I just said, go ahead, take them on, Brad. I'm going to kick your ass just like I did in law school. So we're all good. We are still fighting. It's been 5 years. We are still fighting. You might, I'm going to try and push this on social media. I saw Elon complain about being the country's largest taxpayer, and he is. He is the country's largest taxpayer. He's also Alameda County's largest property taxpayer. He said, as the country's largest taxpayer, he should get a trophy at least, or something to recognize him for paying so much into the government. So I thought, I'm going to give him a trophy for being Alameda County's largest taxpayer. Even if I give him the reduction that he wants, he would still be Alameda County's largest taxpayer. That's how big Tesla is for Alameda County. After that, we have different companies. I'm sure being here in Fremont, you know of Lamb and Seagate. Highest appeal. That kind of gives you a sense of how much money we're talking about, right? So that's the fun part of my job. This is the not so fun part, when there's a decline in the market. When there is a decline in market, you, the taxpayer, have the right to ask for a reduction. I tell everyone, I do not take offense when you guys ask for a reduction. You should. If the market has changed and you feel you're being overtaxed, as a citizen of this country, you should have a right, and you do have a right, to ask your government to reduce your taxes. But you have to do some work too. It just doesn't come out of thin air. You know how appraisals work, right? You find 3 comparable properties, you send it in to us, and you say, hey, Phong, I'm being assessed at $2 million. Here are the comparables that show the values at $1.5 million. Now, we do check your work. I've had people who live in Fremont send me comparables for houses in Hayward,
Yeah.
Think about that. Even if you're in Fremont, Mission San Jose, I'm not even gonna take a comparable in our Newman. So you gotta do it, the moment we see that, we don't take it seriously anymore, right? You're realtors, you know how this works. You can help your clients as well, right? Because your clients might come, if you bought a house last year, you're probably over assessed, right? The market has changed. So it's up to you, if you wanna help your clients, say, hey, Phong, as of January 1, here's the values that we're seeing in Fremont. The house is in Glenmore. The buyer bought it for $1.9 million. Right now, the value is $1.6 million. Here's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath subject home, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot comparable home. We made the adjustments for lot size, age, all that stuff, right? You see it in an appraisal. Same thing. Send it to us, we'll take care of it after that. Even if we still disagree, you have the right to move forward with an appeal. There's an informal process and there's a formal process. The appeal is a formal process. It will be heard by an independent third party. That third party is either a lawyer, a realtor, or an accountant, or an appraiser, right? 3 people will hear that, and you get to present your case. Any questions about that?
Oh, just a shout out, I appealed, not appealed, but I made a case for
Reduction?
two of my investment properties.
Yeah.
Obviously, that will not work for something that you bought way in the back.
Yeah.
These were more newer properties.
Did you get a reduction?
In Oakland.
Yeah.
And there was a reduction.
Perfect.
Not that I wanted.
You wanted more?
I wanted more, because I justified by giving comparisons.
Mhm.
But I'm happy with what I got.
Yeah, perfect. That's all we need, right? It's never gonna be perfect, right? Because remember, in appraisals, there's no exact dollar amount. It's not an exact science.
That's right.
It's usually a range. And usually it's a 10% range, right? So for $1 million home, it could be anywhere from 900,000 to $1.1 million, right? That's kind of the range. And it depends on a lot of factors. So I'm glad to hear that things resolved for you. We actually proactively reduced 2,000 properties in Oakland.
Yeah, that's the bigger one.
Yeah.
That area.
And investment properties are a little different. And if you bought a property in 2010 or 2011, you're not getting a reduction. I'll tell you that right now, right? But if you bought it in 2022, 2023, you're probably gonna get a reduction, right? But there are 500,000 properties in Alameda County. We can't look at every single one of them. You have to help us, right? All right, I came here to talk about Prop 19 and what happens with Prop 19, so I'm gonna skip over everything else. To understand Prop 19, you really have to understand Proposition 13, right? Proposition 13 says, which was passed before I was born. Proposition 13 was passed in 1976, 1978, 76, yeah. Here's an example of what Prop 13 does. If my mom and dad buy a house in Fremont for $100,000 in 1980, and in 1980 the home value in average was $100,000, believe it or not, and let's say, just for ease of math, the house is worth $1 million today, your property taxes are based on that $100,000 plus 2% a year. That's what Prop 13 says. So 2% a year after 45 years makes it about double, right? It's about $200,000 of assessed value. That means your property taxes are going to be about $2,500 a year. Even though the house is worth $1 million, and $1 million house, property taxes are about $12,000 a year, right? So Prop 13 says, as long as you own the home continuously, you get that reduction, and you get to keep that reduction. Prop 19 changes all this when you pass on property to your children, right? This is what I just said before. If the house is sold to a new person, their property taxes are $12,500. If my parents keep the house, it's $2,500. Under the old rule, my mom and dad could give me that house, irregardless of whether it was a rental house or their personal house, and I get to keep that low property taxes. And I say old rule because the rule has changed now. Right? We're going to talk about the new rule. And remember, you have no one to blame but yourself for the new rule, because it's going to be bad. Right? Literally, you the voters voted on it, you realtors put it on the ballot. Under the old rule, you could give it to your children, which could be your in-law children, could be your adopted children, any of that, your biological children. Under the old rule, you could also give investment property up to $1 million of assessed value. So that house that we just said, that my mom and dad bought for $100,000, if it was a rental house, the assessed value is $200,000, they can give me 5 of those homes under the old rule and not get reassessed, right? New rule is gonna be different. All right. We talked about 19. All right. Under the new rule, in order for me to keep my mom and dad's low property taxes, it has to be their primary home, right? How does the assessor know if it's my mom and dad's primary home? What, do you guess?
That's where they get their tax.
Nope, not enough, not enough. What about property taxes?
Because they said so.
I wish. So they file what is called a homeowner's exemption. And the homeowner's exemption is on your tax bill. That says, under penalty of perjury, this is my primary home. So mom and dad have to have a homeowner's exemption on the house. After mom and dad give me the house or sell me the house, irregardless of which way it is, I have to make it my primary home. How do I do that? Same thing. I have to move in and file a homeowner's exemption. Who do I file the homeowner's exemption with?
A form.
Which form? Who do you file it with?
County.
The county assessor, right? I have 1 year after the change of ownership to file the homeowner's exemption. I have 3 years to file the parent-child transfer form. Why do I need a parent-child transfer form? Because the assessor needs to know that it was my mom and dad who gave me the house, right? And the assessor does not know that unless you tell the assessor that. Because I've had people call angry, yelling at me. How do you not know this is my child? Lady, how do I know it's your child? If I was clairvoyant, I'd be sitting on the beach drinking a Mai Tai, and I would not have been dumb enough to be your assessor. That was a joke. So, there are 2 forms that has to be filed. The deadlines are hard, strict deadlines. If it is 1 day past, it is too late. This law is not just a law, it is written into the state constitution. You, the voters, did that.
So it clearly says to children and grandchildren, and that's it. You can't give your house to anybody else.
So I'm gonna make an exception here. Children, yes. Grandchildren, only if the parents in between have passed away. If the parents in between are still alive, it cannot go to the grandchildren, okay? No one else. Not aunts, not uncles, not nephews, cousins, nieces, nothing else. Siblings don't even qualify. Yeah.
Is this homeowner exemption different than my homeowner exemption, the 7,000?
That's the same homeowner's exemption.
I see.
That's the same one.
But keeping the property taxes low are more to do with the form that you mentioned of the transfer from parent to the kid to keep the.
Yep. After you transfer the house to your children, there are a couple of forms you fill out. The homeowner, your child has to fill out the homeowner's exemption. Your child has to fill out the parent-child transfer form. Both.
Transfer form.
Yes. Yes.
And when you say transfer, you can do that through a trust or a will also. In other words, you die and it passes to the child, still
Correct.
counts.
Correct. And you can sell it, you can gift it, you can bequeath it through a trust, however you want to do it. It transfers from parent to child.
So even if there is a trust, they still have to file them?
Yes. We're going to talk about trust later. Yeah. There is also a cap on how much you can transfer to your children now. We're going to talk, and this is a real cap, especially here in Fremont, because home values have gone up a lot. All right, I said now there's no longer an exception for investment property. So if you have a rental property, a commercial property, vacation home, a cabin, you transfer it, it gets reassessed automatically. No more exceptions. They said there's a $1 million exception, right? So in this scenario, where my mom and dad's assessment is $200,000, right? We talked about how we got to $200,000. The house value is $1 million, and it falls underneath the cap. The cap is $1 million above the assessed value. So the cap for this scenario is $1.2 million for this example. What happens if the house is $2 million? And I said the cap is $1.2 million. $800,000 difference. The $800,000 gets added to the assessed value of $200,000, so you get a new assessed value of $1 million, which is still a savings, but not the same as what your mom and dad paid, right? That's the new rule. This is just the math right here. Parents keep the house, $2,500 of property taxes, stays the same. Parents transfer the house to me before February 15, 2021, which is when the law took effect. I get to keep low property taxes. They transfer after $12,500. They transfer after, and it was a rental property, $25,000 in property taxes. Look at the difference. It matters. That's a lot of money. If you don't understand what I said, talk to a lawyer. No, it's really important because there are other considerations you have to take there are other things you have to take into consideration. There are federal income capital gains taxes that you have to think about too, about when you want to give property to your children. It's important to talk to a CPA or a tax attorney to get the real sense of what's best for you and your family. It might be better to give now, it might be better to give after you pass. A lot of it depends on what your children want and what you want, right? You might think your children want to move into that house, but they may not want to move into that house. You might have more than one child. What happens with siblings? I love my brother and sister, but sure as hell I'm never living in a small house with them again, right? When I moved out at 18, I was done. So you have to think about that as well, right? In my family, we've had that conversation, right? My siblings and I, my parents, we've all talked about what happens. And those are important conversations to have. And they're morbid, right? Talking about death, but it's important. Same thing. Last part of Prop 19. This is what I call the good part. If you're 55 or older, this applies to you. And none of you in this room is 55 or older. So when you turn 55 or older, you're still living the first half of your life. This will apply to you. The old rule allows you to take your low property taxes with you to 10 select counties. The new rule allows you to take it with you anywhere you want in the state of California. Right. The old rule said you have to sell and then buy a house of lower or equal market value. New rule allows you to buy a more expensive house, but there's an adjustment made to your property taxes. Old rule allows you to do it one time in your life. New rule allows you to do it 3 times now. You know why they chose 3? What does my wife do for a living? Divorces. People get divorced. So they want to be able to take their value with them after divorce. And sometimes people get divorced more than once.
In that case, though, you can't split it or anything like that. One
No.
person gets it and the
Yep.
other person doesn't.
Yep. But it's a matter of whether you get divorced more than once. And in California, it happens quite a bit. Although we are not the highest divorce state. You want to guess the highest divorce state?
New York.
Not New York. Nope.
Texas.
Not Texas.
Nevada.
Nope.
Illinois.
You guys are far away. Alabama.
Alabama.
The South. South. It was either Alabama or Arkansas. It's one of those 2 southern states. It starts with an A. I don't want to.
Arizona.
I don't. Not Arizona. I know that. It was one of those down there in the south.
Who's the least? Which one is the least?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good Google AI question. All right. So if you're 55 or older, here's an example. For ease of math, I said you buy a house in 1980 for $200,000. What's the assessment today if you buy it for $200,000 in 1980? It's about $400,000 today, right? Your property taxes are about $5,000 a year. You sell the house for $1.2 million. You buy a house anywhere in California for $700,000, you get to keep the same $400,000 base value. Your property taxes stay at $5,000. How do you keep your property taxes? I'd like to tell everyone that I'm in government, and in government, there's a form for everything. In order to keep your $5,000, you have to fill out the form, right? Base value transfer form. You have to tell the assessor what you're doing. If you don't tell the assessor what you're doing, as good looking as the assessor is, he doesn't know what you're doing, right? You have to tell us what you're doing. If you don't tell us, we don't know.
Does the escrow know about these forms?
Escrow knows.
Oh, sorry.
If you have a good escrow officer, they know. If you have a bad escrow officer, good luck.
But this form is their job, right? Escrow's job, right? When you do transfer. Or
You have to tell them too, because they don't know what you're doing. Remember, you have to tell them too, like, how can they read your mind and know that you want to apply for a base value transfer? In their eyes, you're buying and selling, right? Doesn't mean they're gonna do a base value transfer. How do they know if you're giving your house to your children, and remember, you could either take the base value with you in this situation, or you can give it to your child. Which one are you gonna do? How much do you love your children? Right? So if my mom and dad sold the house for 1.2 million, they buy a house for 700,000, do they want to keep their $400,000 base value? Or do they want to give me the $400,000 base value so I have the low property taxes when I move into their house? It's one or the other. Can't be both. Ooh, good question, right?
So you mean?
How much does your mom and dad love you?
Question, so let's say if I want to give the house to my son,
Uh-huh.
and then, but I am also going to buy another house.
Uh-huh.
So how I be able to utilize the tax rate, because, so just say I'm 55.
Yeah.
So I passed the certain age, and
Mhm.
in order to
Mhm.
give the house to my son, and then he can keep the lower rate.
Mhm.
But I'm going to buy another house.
You can do one or the other. You can either give your son the lower rate, or you can
I
keep it
will
and take it with you
Okay.
to your new house.
So if you buy the new house, you gave the son the first house, you're gonna be taxed or whatever.
At the higher rate.
Higher rate is in the new house.
Yeah.
Just one time.
One choice. Do you love your children, or do you love yourself more? Good question. Yeah. You have a question? No, I thought you would. All right.
So you give that house to one of your children,
Uh-huh.
you buy a new house,
Uh-huh.
you could later give that house to another child.
Yeah, but your tax rate's already much higher.
Well, yeah.
There's
but
less
still,
of
as
yes,
it
you
goes
could.
up, There's still a
Yes.
difference there.
If you're living another 20 years, sure. After 20 years, it's a great savings, right? Because your income tax, your property taxes go up 2%, but house values on average go up 10% a year. So each year, there's usually an average of about 8% savings, right? So you gotta think about that. Which child do you love more? Who are you gonna give the lower property taxes to?
But then, of course, they need to move into the house.
Yes, they
Make
do.
it their house.
Yes, they do.
It's
And the
like-
moment they move out,
It's like my
the
house.
property
here-
taxes jack back up.
My house here in Newark, I've lived in it for 50 years. But my kids live in Idaho.
Yeah.
They're not gonna move to California.
Yep.
They're never gonna live in that house again.
So that's why the question is, do you want to give it to them now, or after you pass away, when they have a step up,
But
where
I
they don't
said,
have to pay?
They're in Idaho, they're still not gonna live in it.
So, is it
But
better
when
than,
I give it to them, they're not gonna.
then it might be
live in
better for you to just wait till after you pass, so
That's
that
the
way,
plan.
when they get it, they can sell it and not pay capital gains,
Right.
right, on immediate sales. Whereas they get it now, that base value difference is gonna be taxed to them when they sell it.
Yeah, and theoretically, you know, it could go up, they could rent it out, maybe it would cash flow, I don't know, but that's their problem.
So what happens when the sale of the house and the house you buy is higher in value than the house that you sold, right? You buy a house for 1.7 million, but you sold the house for 1.2. The difference of 500,000 gets added to the $400,000 base value. So for your new house, you have a $900,000 base value now. Remember when I said you have to tell the assessor? Which assessor do you have to tell?
County.
No, which county?
The new house.
The new house. Actually, I just got a text message from San Diego's assessor right now as I'm talking. You have to tell the assessor, Jordan Marks, down in San Diego. Assessor Marks and I, there are 58 assessors in California. Right, there are 58 of us, one for each county. He and I are the only ones who are lawyers. He and I are the only ones dumb enough to marry divorce lawyers. And we joke about it all the time. I was 41 years old when I became the assessor. He became the assessor 4 years after I was, but he was 41 as well when he became the assessor. So we joke about our life decisions. Same scenario, right? The new base value is now $900,000 when you move to San Diego. We talked about trust. This is the last part of my talk. Most people have a trust that says my children will share and share alike in everything. It's a specific type of trust. It is a share and share alike trust, where you're telling your children, I love you equally, so I want you to share equally. The problem with that is that the most of us in Alameda County, the largest asset in our trust is our house. There's not enough cash or stocks to make up for the value of the house. Children, for the most part, don't want to live together anymore when they're adults and have their own families. One child might want to live in that house and might want to keep the low property taxes for that house. If that child uses their own money in any way to pay out their siblings, that house will trigger a reassessment. That payment to the siblings will trigger a reassessment. In order to avoid the reassessment, the trust has to take out a loan in the name of the trust. That means the trust is the borrower of the money. The trust then pays out the siblings and equalizes all the distribution from the assets in the trust. That means you take into consideration the value of the home, stocks, cash, whatever is of value in the trust, and equally split it out. The assessor will ask for a copy of the trust, will ask for an accounting of the distribution of cash. And if it shows that it's equal, then there will not be a reassessment. But if it's unequal in any way, it will trigger a reassessment between siblings. So when you have a trust, you have to be very careful. When you have a share-alike trust, you have to be very careful. That's why I tell everyone, we all know we don't love our children equally, right? I have 2 kids. We don't say which one we love more, but you know you do. Your distribution does not have to be equal. Even though we try and make it equal, it doesn't have to be exactly equal as long as you don't say that it's a share-alike trust, right? Those are very key words that lawyers put in a trust because you asked for it. So keep that in mind as you're trying to figure out what you want to do and how you want to distribute your assets to your children. We get a lot of phone calls from the public that are legal phone calls in nature. And like I said earlier, although I'm a lawyer, I'm not your lawyer. So the county does not allow me to answer legal questions. So what I did when I became the assessor was I created a free legal clinic. We have lawyers that we train who will speak to any member of the public, any resident of Alameda County. It's a free 30-minute consultation. It's not going to answer everything, but it'll give you direction as far as where you can go to get things done that you need to get done. You're welcome to sign up for it. It's open and available to everyone. These slides are available to all of you as well, so you don't have to worry about taking pictures. I think we sent you guys the slides, so feel free to share these slides with everyone. If you have questions, phone call, email, we're here to help you. I'm a big believer in customer service. It's our job as public servants and public officials to help you and answer your questions, so we're here to serve you. Just don't call me. You have a question?
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
So should we do that equal share for the trust when the kids are under the trust or?
It depends, right? You gotta have that conversation with your children, right? Especially when you have investment properties, because not every child wants to be a business person. Not every child wants to be a landlord. It sucks to be a landlord. I was a landlord I'm still a landlord, right? It's a lot of hard work. I mean, it's a great return on your money, and it's a great way to create generational wealth for your children, but it's a lot of work. And like my brother hates it, right? So I do it all for him, right? He's very lucky to have a lawyer as a brother. I get free shoes in return. Any other questions?
So Prop 19 is the whole state of California, right?
Whole state of California. There's actually a signature gathering effort right now to undo parts of Prop 19. They've tried 2 times and they've failed 2 times so far. This is the 3rd effort. They're trying to collect signatures right now to bring back the old rule rather than the new rule.
Which one do you think is better?
From a personal standpoint, for my children, the old rule, right? But you know, I respect the will of the voters. The voters voted on this, so even though I did not vote for Prop 19, when it was passed, I had to implement it. So I had to bust my butt to figure out how to get this done, right? I mean, it was a lot of work for us, but that's why we're in our jobs, right? You decide what we do. You tell us what to do. Anything else? Yeah.
Can you please share the slide that mentioned about?
All yours. You have all these slides. She'll email it to everyone.
I'm working on that.
And if you get really bored, I actually have a 2-hour webinar about Prop 19 that I've done. So if you can't sleep at night, you're more than welcome to get on the website and watch the webinar. I guarantee you'll go to sleep.
My question was like, how it's going to impact after February?
16, 2021.
Oh, yeah, so.
It's already in effect.
Example about 1250 versus 12,500.
Talking about this? Was this the slide you were talking about?
Yeah, so, yes. So
So this was my parents' house that they bought for $100,000 in 1980, which is assessed at $200,000 today, 2% a year for 45 years. Property taxes are at $2,500.
right,
If they give me that house before February 15th, I get to keep the low property taxes, right? They give me the house. This is where the house is worth $2 million today. Now imagine if my mom and dad bought a house in Mission San Jose in 1980, $100,000, right? 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot. What's that value today? $2 million, right? Well, easy math, right? $2 billion. They give it to me after February 15th, which is today. They give it to me today. Even if I make it my primary home and it was their primary home, the property taxes still go up, right? Because it's over the cap. If it was a rental property, $25,000. That's how this new law works.
and cap was 1 million.
1 million over the assessed value. That's
What's the formula?
1 million over the assessed value is the cap. So we said the assessed value is 200,000. This example is 200,000. So the cap is 1.2 million. Anything over 1.2 million in this example gets added to the original base of 200,000.
Okay.
Right? That's the formula. So you look at the current assessed value, you add the cap to it, and then anything over that. That's how it works. Yeah, math can be complicated.
No, actually, it's not about math, I'm just confused, like, if my house is in the trust,
Mm-hmm.
so should I
Hello,
transfer it
hello.
to the kids right now, or?
It depends.
I feel the law will be changed because I'm too young to think about.
So-
20
so-
years from now, when they'll get
It's
it,
good
then
for
it will be.
share information to customers.
So remember,
but
this
not
is,
for-
Prop 13 was 1976 or 70, I can't remember, it was either 76 or 78. And then in 1986, I think, we added grandparents, right? Because it was originally parents can only transfer to children, we added grandparents. And then we added seniors, right, the base value change, right? That was all in the 80s. And then in 2020, we added Prop 19, which dramatically changed everything. So you can see it's kind of like, 10 to 30 years, you see dramatic changes in the law. So think about how long you're gonna live, like, because we all know when we're gonna die, right? And then talk to your children. Because like his kids, right, they're in Idaho, right? If your kids don't ever plan on coming back to California, that's a big indicator of what you should do. But if they do want to stay here, that property tax savings is huge. I mean, 2,500 to 25,000, that's huge each year, right? That's more than a car payment. Yeah.
Is there a difference between transferring or adding your kids to the house, to the title, if you have a trust or you don't have a trust?
So if you add children, it triggers the reassessment.
Mhm. Yeah.
Unless you fall under the Prop 19 exclusion, which is that it has to be your primary home and it becomes their primary home after you add their name to title.
Mhm.
Adding name to title is a change in ownership. That automatically triggers a reassessment. Any change, no matter your children, the only exceptions to that rule are spouses. You can add your spouse and not trigger a reassessment as long as you fill out the form, spousal transfer form, right? Remember I said there's a form for everything? You have to tell the assessor what you're doing, otherwise you're gonna get a reassessment. And the other exclusion is parent to child, grandparent to grandchild, right? The parent to child goes both ways. Actually, I could gift a house to my parents as well, and they get to keep my low property taxes too. But that rarely ever happens. It's usually parent to children. Trust is reassessed when there's a change of beneficiary. So you could still be alive, the house is still under the name of the trust. But if the trust goes from benefiting you to benefiting someone else, that triggers a reassessment as well, even though the trust is still the owner. In a trust situation, it's not the ownership that matters, it's the beneficiary that matters.
But how does county know the change ownership of the trust? The trust usually keep very private. Then how the county know you change the beneficiary?
Usually trusts are recorded when there's a change.
Right.
Depending on what you do, it might trigger a change. You change the name of the trust, you get a new recording, right? And if we do find out later, we will penalize you for not informing us. So every good lawyer knows when you change beneficiaries, you're supposed to notify the assessor. There's a form for that too.
So,
And if you don't tell us, just like the IRS, they don't tell you to pay your taxes, right? But if you don't pay your taxes, what happens? You get penalized.
okay.
Same thing here. There's 500,000 parcels. We can't tell each and every one of you what to do each time. It's incumbent upon you, as your duty as a citizen, to know what the laws are. Not knowing the law is not an excuse not to comply with the law. Right? And the law says when you change a beneficiary of a trust, you are to notify the assessor. Just like when there is a death, you're supposed to notify the assessor. Because a death is also a change in ownership. And when you don't tell us, we will go back and penalize you for not telling us.
I have my trust 10 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and things happen a lot.
Mhm.
I sell house and also buy new house and, want to change the trust.
When you sell and buy houses, we see that. Because those are results in the deed being recorded. So we see the change. The only changes that we don't automatically see are changes in beneficiary within the trust.
So I changed the name of the trust, it's not going to trigger the, assessment.
As long as you are still the beneficiary.
Okay.
So trust ABC has you as 100% beneficiary. You change from trust ABC to trust XYZ. As long as you're still the 100% beneficiary, there's no reassessment. But when you change the name to XYZ and you add another person in there as a beneficiary, then it will trigger a reassessment. Because the beneficiary has now changed. See how that works?
And creating a trust doesn't.
As long as the beneficiary is the same as ownership. So your house is owned by you and your partner 50-50, right? The trust beneficiary is you and your partner 50-50. But it is you 25, your partner 25, and someone else 50, it triggers a 50% reassessment, right? So we will ask for a copy of the trust so we can see who the beneficiary is. And we will see whether it matches the prior ownership.
My question is, when someone creates a trust, there's, as long as the people and on the deed, on the title, are the same that are becoming the beneficiary of the new trust.
It's not just the same people, it's the same percentages too,
What percentages?
right? It's both.
Yeah.
The same people and the same percentage.
Community property, it's community property. It's
Yeah.
not 50-50 necessarily.
Well, community property is 50-50.
Is it?
Yeah. Anything else?
Good.
Thank you very much for inviting me here today. I hope you guys had fun.
Thank you.